Hello and welcome to another episode of Technically Analytics. Today we're going to be talking about the trade deadline, which just happened yesterday as of recording, and it's completed now. All the trades are complete. There's no more trades for the rest of the season. Although on one note, I wish they would bring back the waiver wire trades. Those were awesome because they got rid of that, or maybe they still have it. But anyway. Yeah, waiver. I think they got rid of it actually. That used to be a thing that you could do. You could put guys on waivers, and then you could trade guys on waivers. It was a whole thing. But anyway, I found a comprehensive list of all the trades that went down from July 25th to the trade deadline itself, July 30th. And I'm gonna pick out and talk about a few. Maybe we'll look up some stuff. I got Baseball Reference up here, and I have Fangraphs up here. No spoilers with that. But anyway, first trade we're going to talk about is Randy Arozarena being traded from the Tampa Bay Rays to the Seattle Mariners for outfielder Aiden Smith and Brady Hopkins and a player to be named later. That's what PTBNL stands for. Why can't they just type that out? I don't know. But Randy Arozarena, really good player, really good hitter as well. And the Mariners known for their great hitting, right? Sarcasm. No, the Mariners have been the worst hitting team in the league pretty much. They have the lowest batting average of any team. So they obviously their deadline focused on getting some hitting. So they did that, and I really like this trade. I think Arozarena is going to hit for them for sure, and that's going to be good. So. And they didn't give up too much. Aiden Smith and Hopkins, I mean, they're okay prospects-ish, but they're not like crazy names. Like I haven't really heard of their names before, so I'm not too worried. And I think the Seattle can make a push for the playoffs. Houston isn't the strongest. We'll talk about Houston later. And we'll talk about the Mariners roster too, because they also did some other trades. And the next trade here is again with the Mariners, but it has my Mets in it. The Mets traded for Ryan Stanek from the Mariners, and they gave him a low range prospect outfielder. And I really like this trade, although Stanek didn't do well in his Mets debut, but I think I like the trade. Stanek used to be a good pitcher when he pitched for the Astros, so he can do it. It's just a matter of him finding it, I guess. And Stearns tends to have a eye for these kind of things where he knows, like, okay, I can definitely get this guy for cheap, and then he's going to pitch lights out for us eventually. And then Seattle traded for more outfield help and catcher. And then Philadelphia made a big trade. They traded for outfielder Austin Hayes from the Orioles. The Philadelphia gave up some big pieces, I would say. Sir Anthony Dominguez, who's pretty decent, or he was like one of their key roles in the World Series run they had the other year. He was one of the best players they had, one of their best pitchers. Like, he was their closer, I want to say. So in 2023, I think it was. Yeah, I think that was the year they went to the World Series, I believe. 2023, he wasn't great in the regular season, but his postseason pitching was actually really good. Where is that? It's down here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. 2022 and 2023. Yeah, 2022 was the year. Actually, 2022 was the year. I was wrong. Sorry. Look at his postseason appearances. 3 ERA in the World Series. That was the L, but in the wins, 2.25, 0 ERA. I mean, this guy was pretty good in the World Series. Like, in the heat of the moment, he was pretty decent. Like, he really, I mean, obviously it's such a small sample size, but he pitched not much. One hitter, or no. What does the batters face? He faced 3 batters in the wild card. He faced 9 batters in the NLDS. He faced 14 batters in the NLCS, and he had a 2.25. He had zeros. He put up zeros for everything else, and then he faced 14 batters in the World Series, and he had a 3 ERA. So it's really not bad, honestly. Like, could be worse, right? And then in the other times he was in for 2023, which he did pitch a lot actually. 12 batters in the 2023 NLDS, and then 14 batters in the NLCS, which they lost to Arizona. So yeah, this guy can pitch in big games. That's all I'm trying to say. right? Like career wise, maybe he's not like the greatest player ever, but like, you know, in the playoffs, he's good. He's good, and that's what in the Orioles giving up Austin Hayes for him to have in their bullpen for the postseason, which they're definitely going to be in. And then Christian Pache, another interesting guy. He was started with the Braves, and now he's gone to the Athletics, and he was with the Phillies, and he's been getting passed around, kind of like like a prospect that's meddling would. I mean, as you can see, his career is nothing special. Yeah, he was drafted by the. I don't know. He was no, he wasn't drafted actually. He was just, I guess he was just found. But anyway, he was found by the Braves, and then you see his career. He hasn't ever really been anything. Like he's best at with Philadelphia this season or last season, but he struggled everywhere else. Hasn't really gotten to average yet, and we'll see what happens. I'm guessing more of the same. He has great fielding. He has great defense. That's the one thing about him. So it's overall like giving up him is not a big deal for Philadelphia, but Dominguez might hurt them in the postseason, although they do have pretty good starting pitching, so they probably can live without it. And staying on the Orioles, we have them trading for Zach Eflin from the Tampa Bay Rays. They give up some prospects. Overall, I like the trade. Orioles need another starter. They have injuries. And they were going to see a pattern here where starting pitching is very expensive. Like you have to give up some prospects or some players to get a good, like a mid-tier starting pitcher. It's crazy. So we're going to see that pattern here, and you can see the Cubs, Nate Pearson, relief pitcher. Another big trade, Jazz Chisholm to the Yankees from the Marlins, who were the biggest sellers. Everyone thought it was going to be the White Sox. It was actually the Marlins that sold most of their team. And they stocked up on some good prospects. The Yankees gave him pretty good prospects for Chisholm. And thus far in Chisholm's his time as a Yankee has been pretty decent. Yankees have been winning again. He's kind of ignited that dead offense. Not really dead, but kind of slow offensive production that they've had. So overall, I do like it. And then Carlos Estevez goes to Philly for some pitchers from the Angels. Kind of a bad trade for the Angels, I would say, but they're not in it, so why not, I guess. Jesse Winker to the Mets from the Nationals. I love this for the Mets. Great trade, amazing. And then San Diego gave up a lot for Jason Adam, Dylan Lesko, Corner Bush. What a name, right? JD Gonzalez. Like, I don't know. San Diego made some weird trades. Like, this is a weird trade to me. I don't know why they gave so much for Jason Adam. Like, he's not been that, like, he's been good in the past, but I want to say he hasn't been that special, like, lately, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. He has 1.1 WAR, 4.8 WAR career, 249. Okay, he's pretty decent actually. Maybe they were justified in this. You know what? I'm gonna eat my words saying he's actually legit. But he was with the Rays, so the Rays turn anybody into legit, and then when they trade him, they turn to shit. So yeah, read in that what you will. If he doesn't turn to shit, then I think they have a good trade on their hands, probably. Rays are going to cook, though, always. And then we have Isaac Paredes for Christopher Morel and two other guys that are not a big deal. But I thought this was a really interesting trade because these guys are very similar in their stats and their, like, abilities. They both play, they're utility infielders. They can both play third, second, I think. And, like, but when you look at their stats, like, let's come up here and look at Morel. Like, Morel is, look at this guy. He's career 2.3 WAR. He does 228, 308 on base, 439 slugs, 747 OPS, 105 OPS plus, just above average. Third baseman, doesn't hit center field. So he's a utility man. And then you have Isaac Paredes, who you're gonna see is actually a very similar. I spelled his name wrong apparently. It's stupid. Okay. Sorry, can't spell Paredes. I can't. All right, I guess I can't spell his name. Wait, just copy it, idiot. Just copy it. Right. See, this is what happens when you do stuff live. You just forget how to function your brain. So bad. Anyway, this is called streamer brain. Anyway, so he's an infield utility man. Pretty similar to Morel. Pretty similar. 233. 334, 437, 772, 118 OPS plus. Like, he's a little bit better than him, like, offensively, but I think defensively they kind of average out to be the same. More career WAR, a little bit more successful. I think he might have more years of experience, maybe by a little bit. I didn't check that before, but overall, I think I like the trade. It's kind of like for like, and people are saying, "Oh, why are the Cubs buying? Why are the Cubs buying?" But like, they're not buying. This is just a swap of players. Like, they're trying to get a guy that probably has more potential. Well, they're kind of trying to get a guy that's a little slightly better, maybe more potential than the guy they currently had. So it's not necessarily buying. Doesn't mean like Jeff Passan was saying, buying doesn't mean you're just selling everything off and you're not getting nothing in return. Selling. Selling doesn't mean you're just selling and then you're getting nothing in return. You're trying to build value for the future. That's what selling is, right? And buying is gaining value for a playoff run or some kind of like run. You're trying to add to your team. Whereas selling isn't necessarily like the Marlins. They're selling, but they're getting prospects who could be good in the future. Like, they're not just decimating your team, although they are, because that's what they do. And then now this was a big trade here. There was a three-way trade, which doesn't often happen, but Tommy Edman, Michael Kopech to the Dodgers, Eric Fetty, Tommy Pham, and a player to be named from the Dodgers to St. Louis, and then Miguel Vargas, Joel Perez, Albert Alpertus, and a player to be named later from the Dodgers to the White Sox. I thought this was a really interesting trade. I'm curious to see how it will work out. For the Dodgers, obviously, they cooked. They got Kopech and Edman, a utility second baseman. Utility guy, second baseman, really good. Doesn't hit amazingly, but he hits enough. Kopech, pretty good midline pitcher. Pretty expensive trade from the Dodgers. And then Tommy Pham back to St. Louis. Eric Fetty, I wanted the Mets to get him. They got someone else, but it's fine. I thought he would have been a good pickup, and the St. Louis needed pitching help. Miguel Vargas, unfortunate for him. And then the White Sox got a bunch of prospects, so, pretty good. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. We'll see who wins this trade. That's going to be interesting. And then Seattle acquired Justin Turner for a random outfielder. And so I wanted to look at, it's blocked. So I wanted to look at the Seattle Mariners lineup now that they traded for Turner, Arozarena. They traded for Turner and Arozarena mainly, and that kind of changed their lineup complexion. You can see they have Arozarena batting second, Turner in the cleanup. So it's definitely an improved lineup, and you can see those batting averages of these guys is like a little bit better than the other guys. Like they got some hitters. These guys are hitters. Like they're known quantity hitters. So I do like the moves for the Mariners. They had a good deadline. Probably one of the winners. And then Cleveland acquired Lane Thomas for some guys. I like the move. And then, like I was saying, the acquisition of a midline starting pitcher is crazy. Like, Houston got Yusei Kikuchi, who's a pretty good, okay pitcher. Like, there's nothing wrong with Kikuchi. He's been a solid guy. Kind of middle, kind of a fourth or fifth starter kind of guy. You can see here, he, career ERA 4.72, his current ERA 4.75. So he's right around his career average, and similar stats. He is who he is, right? Like, he's not gonna blow you away, but he's also not that bad. Like, he's just 4 or 5 ERA guy, but he pitches 30 games a season, 30 games. So it's like he's an innings eater, right? 115 innings. So yeah, but the problem is not that Kikuchi is what he is. He's a decent 5 starter. The problem is they give up Joey Luperfido, who is one of the best outfield prospects, utility guys, and they give a bunch of other guys that are apparently pretty good prospects. So yeah, pretty high price for a guy that's almost a 5 ERA. Like it's crazy what the market for starting pitchers is, especially not even like good starting pitchers, just 5 starters, like guys that would be like mid, like 5 in the rotation, or maybe a six man guy kind of thing. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then Ahmed Rosario for Michael Flynn. I thought this was interesting. Dodgers kind of fleeced them with this one, I think. I mean, I don't know how they keep doing it. How do they keep getting away with it? Talk about that more. Frankie Montas for Joey Weimer and Jacob Junis. I thought this was kind of a fleece, honestly. Because yeah, I don't know. It feels like Montas is not Joey Weimer and Frankie Montas are not the same player, and Jacob Junis, I mean, yeah, it's a fleece. Okay. And then we move on to Jorge Soler and Luke Jackson going back to Atlanta, and for Saban Cabellos and Tyler Matzik. This trade was also kind of weird. I don't like it. It gives me nightmares about 2022 kind of. So 2023. So yeah, or no, not 2022, 2021. Sorry. Yeah, 2021 nightmares. So yeah, I don't really like it, but that's just because I'm triggered. And then Yankees get Mark Leiter for some prospects. Again, incredibly high price for a guy that's going to be really good at some point, but isn't good yet. Trevor Rogers goes to Baltimore for a pretty high price. These are really good prospects here. Trevor Rogers, kind of mid-tier. Like, let me show you this. This is going to be, see what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be a prime example of like what I'm talking about with this. Like, you say Kikuchi, 4 ERA, Trevor Rogers. Check out his ERA. Check out his ERA. And let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. 4.23 ERA career. 80 games started, 1.35, 1.3 whip. I mean, yeah, it's just like the guy, he's decent. I mean, he's had good seasons. Like 2021 was a great season for him. But like overall, he's not blowing you away. He's a 4th or 5th starter, right? Good pitcher though. I mean, 4 WAR, like you're not crying over that, but they gave up good prospects for him. So that's Pittsburgh made a trade. This trade's really funny. Josh Bell for cash considerations. Like, what the heck? And then there was that meme that someone made a jersey that had cash considerations as the name. I had a Marlins jersey, and I was like, oh my gosh. And the Marlins just DFA'd Bell too. They didn't even like they didn't want him, so clearly it was just like, all right, well, sure, we'll take some money for him. Why not? And then Guardians got Alex Cobb for basically kind of a high price. Not really though, but a lot of pretty good prospect for a player to be named later. That's kind of a high price. All right, so we move on to Andrew Chafin to the Rangers for some good prospects. I like this trade. Rangers, interesting. I thought they were gonna sell, but I think maybe they're back in the race now. Is that what's happening? Not really. I guess they're just building for the future. And then Paul DeYoung to the Royals for relief pitcher. Let's see. Oh yeah, Mets got Paul Blackburn, which I love. He's a pretty good starter. Again, they didn't pay too much for him. Let's see. They didn't pay too much for him because Cade Morris, I think he's like a mid-level prospect. So again, the same pattern I was showing you before. 4.83 career ERA, 1.3 whip. Same kind of guy, like Kikuchi, like the other guys that I talked about. same thing. The price for a starting pitcher is just so high. And then San Diego gets fleeced again. Basically, they trade a bunch of prospects for Tanner Scott, Brian Hoeing. I mean, I don't know what the Padres are doing, given the Marlins all these prospects. It's weird. And Brian De Cruz goes for two guys. Interesting. I missed this one actually. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa going to the Pirates for outfielder. All right. Mets get a good relief pitcher. Jimenez to the Orioles for a pitching prospect. Pretty good. Now this was a big fleece. Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers for two prospects that are kind of middling. People are saying that this is kind of a fleece, but actually it's like because Flaherty has back injury issues, so it was sort of like known that it would be kind of cheaper to get him, I guess, because apparently other teams were in on him, but the injuries kind of lowered the price. Dodgers get Kiermaier, who said he's going to retire at the end of the season. Let's see, Mark Canha to the Giants. And then the rest of the trades are kind of like, all right, yeah. Gregory Soto to Baltimore for Seth Johnson and Moise Chase. I like that trade. That's a good trade. So I think that's enough for me talking about trades. Overall, I think the winners were probably the Orioles, Dodgers, Mets, probably the Rays, I guess. Philly to some degree, I guess. Yankees did okay with Chisholm. But yeah, and the Mariners. So yeah, those are all the trades. Those are most of the trades. I probably missed a few that I want to talk about, but it's fine. So yeah, make sure to tune in next time for more technically analytics. I have more things in the pipe. And thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And baseball.